Psalms 137 says, "By the rivers of Babylon we sat and we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. Our captors that carried us away captive required us to sing a song, saying, 'Sing to us one of those songs of Zion.'" How can we sing songs of Zion in a strange land? These are a few of my favorite verses in the entire scripture because it is such a poetic expression. This poetic expression is given in a time where the Hebrews are in exile. They have been carried away by the Babylonian Empire. While they're here, they are oppressed. They're in exile. In other words, they have a little freedom, but yet they still don't belong to their own. While they are in exile, this writer pens this where he says, "By the rivers of Babylon, as people we sat and we wept when we remembered Zion." So we're in a place that is not familiar to us, and we're weeping when we remember the place where we came from. Babylon, in its most basic form, comes from the Hebrew word Babel or Babel, which means confusion. River means constant flow. It means a stream. It means steadiness. That's what it represents. So by the constant flow of confusion, we sat and we wept when we remembered Zion, or Sion. In other words, significance or sign. That's what Zion represents. So we sat next, or in confusion, and we wept when we remembered our significance, when we remembered where God had us, where we come from. And that ought to cause us sometimes a sad thought. When we used to have it together, when we were really blessed, we were walking in our season, and all of a sudden something has happened to us, whether it's disobedience, whether we made the wrong choice, a bad business decision, and it caused us to go into captivity or bring us into a place of exile. So it causes us to weep when we remembered our significance. So then when we are in an uncomfortable place, we begin to lay aside everything in our life that helped us get to that place. They hung up the harps amongst the willows in the midst thereof on a tree. In other words, we don't want to play instruments. We don't want to sing while we're in this place of discomfort. The people that carried them away, their oppressors, are taunting them. They're pretty much making fun of them, telling them, sing us one of those songs. Y'all used to have it going on. Now y'all don't. Sing us one of those songs when y'all had it together. And they were taunting them. But then they say, well, how can we sing songs of Zion when we're not in Zion? How can we sing those celebratory songs when we're in a place of defeat? How can we sing songs of Zion in a strange land? And that may be what you're wondering today in your life. You may be wondering, God, how can I sing, or how can I be effective, or how can I produce and flourish in a desert, in a place that's not conducive for my growth, in a place where I am oppressed, depressed, stressed? How can I do that? Well, if you go over to one of the prophets that says that Jeremiah, while they were in exile, God tells the people while they're in exile, he says, look, while you're here, I'm not telling you to get comfortable, but you got to have a short memory. I want you to have babies, to build houses, to live in those houses. And I want you to celebrate and to increase instead of diminish. So in other words, I'm going to bless you again. You're not always going to be in this situation or in this predicament. So when you get out of it, I want you to be able to flourish. So don't give up while you're defeated. Don't give up while the going is getting tough. This is now your time to build, to prepare, so that when your season does arise again, you are able to sustain it. But not only that, he tells them to end that verse in Jeremiah 29. He says this: pray for the peace of the city which you're in, so that you can have peace. In other words, I want you to pray while you're in the situation you're in, because since you won't always be in it, I want you to pray that you have the sustaining power when you're out of it. I want you to be able to remain effective, because guess what? Somebody may be in your position next, and you got to be able to have the ability and the wisdom to guide them through it. So it's important for us in this season, whether you may be in a strange land, a place of discomfort, a place of pain, this is your time to prepare and to build. It is not to give up. It is not to throw in the towel. It is not to give way to the problem, but it is to give way to the God who can solve all problems.